A tragic new Daredevil. Born-again theory suggests that one returning MCU character's death could convince Wilson Fisk to become Kingpin again. Continuing the story of Netflix's original Daredevil series perfectly, Daredevil Born Again has marked the return of several beloved Defenders saga characters, including Charlie Cox of Matt Murdock, Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk, and more. However, the dynamic of Murdock and Fisk's relationship has changed significantly, as Wilson Fisk has seemingly given up his life as the Kingpin. Wilson Fisk leaving behind his life of crime has caused something of a void in Daredevil Born Again that many are waiting to be filled. While Kingpin might not be operating as a major villain right now, Daredevil Born Again has introduced some new characters who certainly are, and a new theory suggests that the enigmatic and terrifying Muse could step up to the plate. Daredevil Born Again is taking the MCU's street-level stories in a very intense direction, and Muse's emergence in New York could make this even more frightening. Wilson Fisk was a formidable villain throughout all 3 seasons of Marvel Television's Daredevil on Netflix, having amassed a criminal empire that worked alongside the Hand in Season 1, started from scratch in Season 2, and allowed him to manipulate the FBI in Season 3. As the Kingpin, Fisk seemed to still be in charge of this empire in Hawkeye and Echo, but Daredevil Born Again has changed him. Instead of having power and influence as a crime boss, Wilson Fisk is trying to pull off some threatening feats legally as the mayor of New York. Marvel Studios is clearly setting up an adaptation of Marvel Comics' Devil's Reign storyline, which saw Mayor Wilson Fisk outlaw vigilantism in New York City, which impacts many street-level heroes. While he needs to be mayor to enact these plans, there's no doubt that Wilson Fisk will soon be readopting the Kingpin moniker again, and he's already been teased to be beating people off-screen in Daredevil Born Again. A huge new MCU theory suggests the perfect event to push Wilson Fisk over the edge, though it means the tragic end of another returning Daredevil character. Muse hasn't yet been seen in full in Daredevil Born Again, though there is a theory that Hunter Doohan's character from Episode 2 will become the villain. He was seen painting graffiti of Wilson Fisk, and he shows up prominently in trailers for the Phase 5 series. Muse is one character many expected would never appear in the MCU, as he is one of Marvel Comics' most violent, brutal, sadistic, and unhinged villains. Muse is a serial killer and mass murderer who creates art out of his victims' bodies and innards, and is also a skilled graffiti artist. Daredevil Born Again's TV May rating means it's possible for the full extent of Muse's harrowing art to be depicted in the MCU, which will be a terrifying first for the franchise. However, a new theory suggests that it won't just be strangers who Muse targets to create his art, but that well-known Daredevil characters may also fall victim to his sadistic schemes. Muse often uses his art as a form of protest, and his hatred for Wilson Fisk could spur him to protest against the new mayor by killing Fisk's wife, Vanessa, and displaying her as art. Daredevil Born Again has reintroduced Wilson Fisk and Vanessa, played once again by Ayelet Zurer, in a rough spot in their marriage. The pair were married at the end of Daredevil Season 3, with Fisk being immediately shipped off to prison, and then, not long after he seemingly got out, Fisk was shot in the face by Maya Lopez and spent months in recovery. This allowed Vanessa to take over Fisk's criminal empire, but now they are trying to rekindle their relationship through couples counseling, but this might all be in vain if Muse has anything to do with it. Muse first appeared in Marvel Comics in 2016's Daredevil, Vol. 5, number 11, where he was introduced as an inhuman mass murderer and artist, though he was eventually imprisoned for his crimes and later committed suicide when defeated in battle against Blindspot. Muse murdering and displaying Vanessa Fisk as a protest against Wilson Fisk's election to mayor would certainly be enough to push Fisk back into his life of crime. This would also put Muse on the map as a significant threat in the MCU, especially considering it's very likely he won't survive the events of Daredevil. Born Again. Vanessa's death would be game-changing for Kingpin, pushing him to the limits, perhaps unleashing the most violent version of Fisk yet, and forcing him to escalate his plans to outlaw vigilance and take down New York's heroes once and for all. While it seems like if anyone is going to kill Vanessa in Daredevil, Born Again, it'll be Muse. It might not actually be the serial killer who marks Vanessa's demise. By assuming control of Wilson Fisk's criminal empire, Vanessa has put herself in an incredibly dangerous position, not just at risk from the criminals of New York City, but also Wilson Fisk himself. It would take a lot for Kingpin to want to murder his wife, but the insinuation that she'd been cheating on him with Adam and his jealousy over her running his business could push him to extremes. Wilson Fisk is far from stable, and he's been shown to commit heinous acts out of passion. Most notably, he decapitated Anatoly Ranskahov with his car door, attacked Matt Murdock during his prison interview, murdered an ice cream man for mocking the young Maya Lopez, and killed his own father with a hammer as a child. His rough patch with Vanessa, jealousy over her handling of the Empire and distrust of her after the Ada revelation could easily end with Wilson Fisk killing her himself, which would mark his full return to the role of Kingpin in Daredevil. Born Again.